Reddit volume 15. This is a shorter one because real shit, I recorded this the night I was leaving to go on holiday, and by night I mean, I think it was 2 hours before I had to start driving to go. So short one this time, but it's fine because next one will be longer. Enjoy. What common product has a feature you're not sure everyone is aware of? Apple Camera comes pre-installed with a feature that translates those laundry symbols. I recently found out that if I press and hold my car key to unlock the car, all the windows open automatically. Close an important tab accidentally, Control-Shift-T to bring it right back. That's so handy. That most new phones have a panic button function that will work even if your phone is dead. You can just put in your distress contacts, and when activated, they will receive a text call and a live map to your location. A regular pair of binoculars pointed at Jupiter will reveal 4 of Jupiter's moons. What item is now so expensive the price surprises you every time you buy it? I'm old enough to remember when ramen was 10 for 1. Old Subway commercial was $5 footlong. $15 footlong doesn't quite have the same jingle to it. Fruit. How the fuck is a cantaloupe $8? Getting something framed, it's always way more insanely priced than I remember. As a truck driver, I no longer eat any meal out of a truck stop restaurant anymore. A T-bone steak dinner at the Petro cost almost $40 out of the door after taxes and a tip. I bought a pack of Mentos at the grocery store and it was $2.35. I'm so old. Who, in your opinion, is a prime example of either dying a hero or living as a villain? O.J. Simpson. Had he not murdered his ex-wife and her boyfriend, he would have likely remained among football's greatest. Jim Jones. He was a civil rights activist in the 1960s. Then he founded a cult of his own personality and eventually talked 900 people into drinking cyanide. Russell Williams. He was a decorated Canadian Air Force pilot, colonel, and commander of Canada's largest Air Force base. Turned out that he was commanding CFB Trenton, and he was also moonlighting as a serial killer, rapist, and burglar who committed horrific crimes against women. What is the most brainwashed cult in the world? Scientology is running on its 2nd, 3rd, and now 4th generation, raised exclusively within the cult itself. Jeez, there's a lot of Scientology on here. Any cult where the members have been convinced to kill themselves. It takes a lot of brainwashing to make people ignore their innate survival instinct. Jehovah's Witnesses. Anyone who lets a kid die instead of getting a blood transfusion for religious reasons is a cult to me. Just seen the Netflix documentary called Escaping Twin Flames. Disturbing stuff with the 2 leaders making a fortune by mind-fucking their following. What is the most basic thing you are terrible at? Handwriting. It doesn't seem to matter how hard I try, it always looks like a drunk spider has stood in ink and wandered across the page. Remembering somebody's name. If a person comes up and says, "Hi, I'm Jim Peterson," I will have forgotten it by the time I've said, "Hi, I'm Knox Wild." Holding a conversation. Reddit be like. Doing anything while someone is watching. Sleeping. It takes so long to fall asleep, and I wake up wide awake multiple times a night. Comforting sad people. I'll literally just stand there and be like, you want some water? Jesus Christ. What are some unethical but legal ways to make money? Selling diet plans to 50+ divorced women. Not really unethical, but they can find that information with a simple research. I had a friend who made a lot of money buying cheap supplies from China/India and then selling them at a huge profit to other businesses. All she had to do was order the supplies and then switch the shipping label when it gets to her door. First I thought it was slightly unethical, but then I realized it's basically the entire business model for most of the retail industry. Get elected to Congress. Oh, you got him. Oh, you're so clever. You're so smart. Shut up. Who do you think has legitimately lost their mind? As an older guy wanting to sound hip on current events, I'll go with Nicki Minaj. Nick Cannon, I think this is the guy, trying to populate the world having children with as many women as he can. Transvestigators. There are people online on Twitter who legitimately think that every famous person is trans and have had sex changes to swap their genders for some reason, and they spend all day posting like skeleton and skull comparison for various actors using skeletal diagrams that have obviously been photoshopped. What are some of the most mind-blowing, little-known facts that will completely change the way we see the world? Every element heavier than lithium had to be created in the core of a star. Every element heavier than iron had to be created by a supernova. A female turkey can lay an egg that doesn't need to be fertilized by a male turkey, and the baby that hatches will always be a male. You always have more knowledge than you can put into words. If you stand in any planet or moon of the solar system and you look up, you'll see the same night sky as we see it from Earth. Same constellations and all. That's how unfair unfathomably far away the stars are compared to the planets. What are some mysterious cult-like bad vibe towns across the USA? Hildale, Utah is where the FLDS is based. They're a polygamous offshoot of the Mormon Church. Their leader is currently spending a life sentence for rape. Powers, Oregon. Stopped in the diner for coffee once on a drive-thru. I shit you not, like straight out of a movie, the other patrons just turned and quietly stared, not touching their own plates until we left. Most of the truly creepy small towns are down dirt/gravel roads which typically aren't mapped. The only places that I've gotten the maybe I should get back in my car now vibe were from a handful of small towns in Kansas. Couples who have broken up because of a third person that did not involve cheating. What happened? I know a few who divorced because of the in-laws. Sometimes a person's family is just too crazy. 30-year-old partner of 8 years joined a band with some 20-year-olds. They convinced him that they will never get big if they have long-term partners holding them back. Teenage girlfriend. She would constantly talk about her best friend and how great he is. She was genuinely in love with him but wouldn't admit it. He was also in love with my girlfriend. I told her all about how I know she's in love with her best friend but is too afraid to ask him out because she fears he doesn't reciprocate and doesn't want to ruin the friendship. That was 15 years ago today and I know they're still together. What's something you did that you later found out was illegal? I helped myself to the candies that were in bins in grocery stores. I was like 10 and thought those were big candy samples. Used to buy a single cigarette from a corner store all the time when I was in high school. I went to a different store once, asked for 2 Newport, clerk sets down 2 packs and I set down 50 cents. I bought some books to study up on Thailand before spending a summer there. Didn't finish the biography of the king I was reading, so I bought it with me on my trip. Bit into the trip, some Thai students saw me reading it and they were very interested. Found out that the biography I was reading was banned in the country. I could get jail time if I was caught with it, and they really wanted to borrow it so they could copy it to read for themselves to see what the government didn't want them to see. What hobby in men gives you green flag vibes? Actually read or well versed in a topic that comes from a genuine interest and not egotistical gain. In one sentence, take care of another living entity, be it plants, pets, or peers. This just reminded me I was gifted plants and they have not been watered in about a month. I knew someone in college whose hobby was restoring old books. There was a man in my city in his 60s who volunteers at a local hospital, Nico, to hug and rock the premature babies. My girlfriend says it's a green flag that I support mediocre sports teams that have fun watching them even when they lose. What causes more deaths than people are aware of? Neglect in nursing homes. Tripping. On average, around 17,000 people a year in the US die from injuries incurred after tripping and falling. Vending machines. No, seriously, people get mad at vending machines and they tip the machines over on themselves. Vending machines kill more people than sharks, cows, and something else combined. More people die during summer due to high temperatures than the amount of people who die in winter due to the cold temperatures. Childbirth. Yes, even in countries with modern medicine. Death by strangulation has increased 90% in the last decade. What is something that was crazy at the time but proven to be correct? MKUltra sounds like one of the most insane, idiotic conspiracy theories ever, but actually happened. That the platypus was a real animal. The researcher who received the first specimen back in Europe was certain he was pranked and meticulously dissected it to try and find where it was sewn together. In 1942, conspiracy theories began to spread that Nazis had landed a submarine on a Florida beach and were now living in America. Turns out they actually had. In fact, they landed 2 submarines, one in Maine and one in Florida. What's an actual cause of death so extremely rare that it's hard to believe it's possible? I heard that a sinkhole formed under some man's bedroom and took him with it. It was so deep that they couldn't find him. In 1988, a dog fell from a building in Buenos Aires, Argentina, landed in a woman's head, killing her and the dog instantaneously. Then another lady, completely confused watching the event unfolding from the middle of the road, was ran over by a bus. Then shortly after that, an old man died from a heart attack out of the commotion of seeing both deaths. That's some Final Destination shit. Those making 100,000 plus, what do you do? I stare at Excel and cry. I'm a doorman at a luxury residential building in New York City. I make 110 to 120k a year. It's the easiest and best job I've ever had. Live wedding painting, $150,000. Lawyer, but it sucks, don't do it. I'm an office manager. I order supplies, pay bills, arrange security cards, put things away, make sure we have enough coffee, and keep track of all of our vendors. I nepotismed my way into owning a restaurant and now expanded into 4 more locations. What was the biggest downgrade in recent memory that was pitched like it was an upgrade? The change of some products, especially software, from a you buy, you own it to subscription-based model. All these smart appliances, I don't see the use in these washers and refrigerators with touchscreens and internet connectivity. Me when my washing machine uses 3 gigabytes of internet. Removing the dislike button on YouTube. Hewlett-Packard added anti-hacking safety features to all their ink cartridges. Of course, an unfortunate side effect of that new safety feature is that you can't use any ink cartridge from any supplier other than HP in your printer. What obsolete technology is still surprisingly useful? I've changed the batteries in my calculator once in 30 years. Walkie-talkies are still very useful, despite cell phones existing with a seemingly similar function. I still borrow DVDs from my local library. Cheapest streaming service there is. Try saying that on a first date. Pager, still used by the medical profession because it's more reliable in the hospitals where cell phones get no reception. Mechanical buttons in car dashboards. My 1996 Kylie Minogue calendar can be used this year. What brand do you oddly associate with poor people? Rose Art Craft Supplies because my mum said so. Someone told me the kids now are thinking Champion is an expensive name brand. My mum used to get that shit for me when we were on the food stamps. In the 80s, there was a brand of jeans called Palmetto, and they used a triangle logo on the back pocket like Guess. So us poor kids would buy Palmettos and rip off the patch, which would leave a triangle shape on the pocket in the darker, non-acid wash material. We would say the Guess patch fell off. Is Spirit Airlines a brand? If so, then that. How do you overcome the fear of inevitable death? Push snug clarity getting hard, I see. Accept it. There's nothing anyone can do to avoid it. Use your time wisely here and enjoy it. Best way I have heard is to remind yourself that death is the price of life. You can't have one without the other. My dad has also recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer. He says I could live with cancer and fear death for years, or I could step into the road and be hit by a bus in 10 minutes. Focus on the now. I don't fear death. I fear what comes before death. I don't want to suffer when I die. I don't fear the afterlife because whatever comes will be what I deserve. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. I'm going to be doing some more cool stuff. I got some cool streams planned that I'll eventually do at some point. Look, hey, there's a whole heap of shit going on. Go watch it if you want to watch it. Go watch something else now. Okay, bye.